Well, regular listeners of the program know it doesn't take much to get me to go across the sea to Ireland, at least virtually this morning. President Obama is there literally, landing in Dublin this morning on Air Force One, and I guess it was rainy and windy. He's getting the full Irish, one of the worst storms in months, and part of his itinerary might have to be canceled. He's got a sort of a one-day visit with Michelle, and they're going to go to Moneygall, I guess, the tiny village, the ancestral homeland of Obama's great-great-great-grandfather on his Kansas-born mother's side. And Turtle Bunbury is with us, best-selling author, historian based in Ireland. He has the books, the Vanishing Ireland series, and Sporting Legends of Ireland, and The Irish Pub. And you can find all of his books at historyin.a book.com. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Michael Patrick. How are you?
Where do we find you this morning?
You find me up in windy Monaghan, County Monaghan. The whole country seems to be quite windy today.
Yeah, I hear it's been a good 2, 3, 4 days now of the mean stuff, eh?
Well, it's been pretty hefty, but I was talking to my sister earlier, and she was actually driving in past Dublin Airport as the president arrived, and she said there was a large rainbow in the sky, so he may have expected to encounter leprechauns upon arrival as well. But anyway, yes, as you say, he has landed, and he has been with our president, Mary McAleese, and her husband, and I think he's just making his way on to the next stage of his trip now.
The visit of Her Majesty last week, the Queen, followed by the visit of the President of the United States, makes one wonder what are they're going to Ireland? Why Ireland back to back like that? What's the
we don't know where to look. I've been talking with old men who say they've never encountered such busy times for Ireland on the international stage. It's fantastic for us. The Queen's visit was an absolute triumph. I just saw a poll this morning, 95% of people saying that that they thought it was a great success. And she's really, we managed to bury a lot of the ill feeling of the past. I think a lot of that got buried last week with her visit. And now, yes, the American president suddenly has something to live up to, which is a very unusual thing for a president visiting Ireland.
My understanding was that President Obama would meet with a much warmer reception even than Queen Elizabeth. Is that true?
Yeah. He will meet with a very warm reception, but I think everybody was bowled over by the reception which the Queen got. Actually, I have to say, she really did get a huge greeting here. But yes, no, of course, Obama, he's enormously popular over here in Ireland, and the fact that he has the Irish roots, which you mentioned earlier, will certainly help his popularity.
Now, I've seen pictures of President Kennedy in pubs in the west of Ireland, and I've seen the Bill Clinton statue at Ballybunion in the center of town there, former President Clinton playing golf. Why the fascination, I wonder, with U.S. presidents and particularly Democrats?
Isn't it amazing? It is quite something. I was reading that 22 of 44 presidents had Irish roots, but yes, and in recent times, many of the older generation, if you go into their homes, you will see JFK's picture up on the mantelpiece beside the Sacred Heart and Jesus Christ and so on. So he obviously, I suppose, because he was the first Irish Catholic president, he set the ball in motion and gave the Irish Catholics somebody in the White House, really.
When somebody like President Obama comes to Ireland, it creates a heck of a stir, doesn't it? Because of
it really does. Yeah, no, it's a massive boost for Ireland at this moment, and as I say, along with the Queen's visit, and one of our Leinster rugby team just won the European Cup in the middle of it, and we've also just buried the late Taoiseach, Dr. Garret FitzGerald, who was our Taoiseach Prime Minister for a number of years. So lots going on here, but it's all quite positive, which is tremendous, because we've been down in the dumps for a couple of years now, and this is perhaps the start of a new phase.
When somebody like President Obama, or just any American, makes the trip to Ireland, what do you think surprises them the most?
When they arrive here?
Yeah.
Well, we like to think the warmth of their reception, and certainly they'll get as warm as possible on this windy day. But actually, I'm looking at the television in the background, and there is sunshine overhead there, so that might change things. But I think that, and I think Ireland is a pretty extraordinary country, given that once upon a time, when his ancestor Fulmouth Carney was in Ireland, when he left for Ohio in 1850. Population in Ireland had been about over 8 million just before that, And today, even now, it's less than 5 million. That's very unusual. I don't think there's any country in the world where the population is less today than what it was. And yet, we, as I'm sure you know, the Irish really punch above their weight, you know, in all fields, in all spheres. And I think that will be impressed upon him by the time he leaves within 24 hours of now.
Yeah, it's a quick stop for sure. But after all, every St. Patrick's Day, he welcomes the Taoiseach to the White House, and I always thought it was unusual that the Taoiseach be away on St. Patrick's Day, but nevertheless, it's nice to get the president returning the visit.
That's it, exactly. I know. It is standard practice. We've managed to convince the whole world to celebrate on March 17th every year. So yes, and that's when he actually announced that he was going to come over and visit us. So that gave this year's St. Patrick's Day an extra boost. Because, as you say, nothing like a visit of an American president.
I hope that he takes a sip of the black stuff, though. I saw Queen Elizabeth at the Guinness storehouse there, and she observed with her husband, Prince Philip, the perfect pint being poured. And she just kind of stared at it and smiled and turned around and walked away. And I thought, wow, I don't think I could do that.
She did. I don't think she was up for tasting it. But they had some excellent footage of a priest who nipped in behind her and finished it.
Oh, really?
For her. So I'm sure the president will indeed indulge in a pint of black stuff, which is going to be poured for him in, I believe, in Ollie Hayes' pub down in Moneygall, which is his ancestral home in County Offaly. And I'm sure they're going to make sure it is a perfectly poured pint.
Well, you can read him in the New York Times or go to historyinabook.com. Turtle Bunbury, the story of his name, is probably another interview altogether. But Slán go Fóill, God bless you, and God bless that priest who swept in and finished that Guinness for Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, thanks very much, Michael Patrick.
I knew the clergy would never let us down. President Obama in Ireland today. It's Michael Patrick Shields in Pure, Michigan. Always back in a flash.